Hello everyone and welcome to another video, one that I am not entirely sure why I'm doing. Take that, my haters, go for it. Have fun with that one. But anyway, global. Global is something that I have not touched or thought about or really even looked at in a considerably long period of time. Well, I've always kind of, peeked in through the window shades at the once warm and cozy house that was Brave Exvius JP side. Really, Global I've never been that much into. I tried it for a little bit, and I do think that Global has some really cool exclusives, as always. I think that some of my favorite exclusives are, like, the Chinese New Year stuff. Like, I really love the ones that are kind of based on the zodiacs. That's always just a really cool idea, and I love that, like, all the time. Like, it's something I like in Hearthstone when they have their, years, and every year is like an animal theme. This year was the Year of the Dragon, or Dragalia Lost, which has, actual zodiac characters as well as characters, and that's something I really like and try to get those characters. But the point is, in a roundabout way, is that, Global does have some things that I do admire. So when people are, commenting saying, hey, we'd like your opinion on something in Global, I'm not terribly sure what to talk about, because at this point, I don't know really what the situation is on Global, or I don't have a good enough idea to really do a ton of recommendations. And that is hard, because with the change of the festival thing from JP to Global, I did feel kind of like Global had moved a little bit beyond suggestions of the JP side. Sure, there was some things in the future that would be really nice to talk about, but in terms of how I recommend stuff, it's kind of hard. So I'm just going to talk about the Madame Edel experience, because she is coming out on Global, and maybe this will be useful to some people who are on the fence about this, especially in the great everlasting question of DPS and new units. Should I get it? Should I not get it? I want someone to talk about it, and maybe that will make up my mind. Well, that's what this video is. That is what I am doing now. And, I can talk at lengths about this stuff for, about 7 minutes and 20 seconds from this point on. Anyway, Madame Edel, she came out on the JP side and was a big deal. She was a pretty considerable power jump, it felt like. But the big thing about Madame Edel is that it takes a while to get there. Now, basically, she was a big power jump, but took multiple turns. Like, something like, she is great in fights where you need to go over 10 turns, and then she starts dishing out a mass load of damage. She has really good options. She's a strong chainer, strong finisher. She can do basically everything. So she was a nice all-in-one unit. And at the time that she came out on JP, she was a fest unit, and, well, I was just in the position where I didn't really care much anymore. So, long story short, jump ahead a massive amount of time, to the point where I kind of started looking back at Brave Exvius, because there was free stuff, and by this I probably mean about January-ish. I asked the JP community who were some of the best damage dealers out there, and of course AC Cloud came up, Advent Children Cloud, who is just really, really incredibly powerful. There have been a few other changes lately to the JP side with enhancements, but for up until that point, Madame Edel was still in the conversation on the JP side, and that's kind of incredible. The fest units do seem to have a long-lasting ability. Like, Madame Edel was still useful up to about December or January. She was still considered to be one of the highest, probably top 3 DPS in the game, and that's awesome. That is a real testament to how powerful this character is. Now, Global people, does that mean that you should buy in on this unit right away? I'm going to say no, and I do have some reasons for this. One, Madame Edel is really strong, but takes a while to get going, and that is not what a lot of Global a lot of players in general. I shouldn't say Global players, because that's not true. A lot of people just want to finish off the enemy as quickly as possible, and one of the innovations that came after a very strong DPS was just shortening the time it takes to get going. If you take like AC Cloud now, he can just do a billion points of damage so incredibly quickly, or billions of points of damage so incredibly quickly and consistently without really much fear of death. To that extent, there have been other DPSs, like with enhancements recently, like old units such as Kurosame, and as I can't even believe that I am saying this, but Dark Knight Luneth became one of the top DPSs on JP in terms of chaining damage output. And that is something incredible, because that is a unit I think I've had for a very long time. In my 7 stars? Well, this really took the wind out of my sails, didn't it? Oh well. The point is Dark Knight Luneth has become one of the more powerful units. But with all of that being said, DPS is a dime a dozen. And I think on global it's even worse of an option to an extent, because you get, global exclusives that JP don't have that are wild cards and could end up being a billion times more powerful, because Gummy really, really sucks at balance. It is something they suck at. They suck very hard. Ha ha ha. Anyway, it is a question to, global players of who, what do you want to roll the dice on? But to be fair, I don't think that's incredibly important anymore. I actually think that there are so many good DPS options that have come to Brave Exvius and are coming to Brave Exvius Global in the near future, that you have a lot of options to who you pick. And really at this point you should be saving, not shaving, but saving more for a character you really like, as opposed to a character that you think is going to be OP, because really at this point, damage outputs are so high that I don't think it's really necessary to stress out so much about all of these decisions. Like, people are being like, oh my god, if I don't get her, I'm just going to commit myself to a mental institution. I just really don't think it's that important. Like, for me personally, I am a bigger fan of the Esper units, just Espers in general. I really love Espers. I've gotten incredibly lucky getting Elena and CG Sarah, as well as AC Cloud and Paladin Cecil, Final Fantasy 12 Riku, Final Fantasy 10-2 Riku, sorry, brain fart, anyway. But in terms of the characters that I really wanted, Cecil was not a character I wanted, but it was a character I just got later. Cool, great. Cloud I got, Cloud I like, cool. But the characters that I really wanted back at the time were the summon units, because I really actually quite like summons, and the summon units are still very, very powerful. Odin Reagan is a really good DPS still, so I really like him. He's been useful in Dark Visions this month when I've tried Dark Visions for my first time, but in terms of who I was choosing, other than elemental limitations in Dark Visions, there really wasn't a ton for me. It also depends what kind of person you are. I think really that Brave Exvius is still not conducive to an environment where you have a ton of liberty to what characters you bring all the time to trials. But at the same time, it's hard to say with that power creep doesn't make that a little bit irrelevant to a point. It's kind of hard to say, but I really do think that it is a situation where you should probably think about, what characters interest you? What characters do you like? What are you interested in? And kind of just go from there. And ask yourself, what are your goals? Do you need to beat this right away? Can you beat it later? Are you really interested in trials so more? What is your priority that you are hoping to get out of this game? If you are just looking for, going through the story, I don't think that there's going to be a ton of value for always being OP. If you're a collector, well, in this game, I'm sorry, but you're just kind of screwed. Madame Edel does have a nice step-up banner, honestly, taking a look at it, it's really not bad. I mean, JP step-up banners kind of disappeared for worse things, but I gotta say, overall, I think that it is a generally, you know, Madame Edel is a very powerful character. She was for a long time on the JP side. And here's the other thing that you got to ask yourself, global players, is the content really being adjusted for these power levels? If it's not, then you have even more leeway as to what characters you go for and what characters you don't. There's always the chance that you get these characters later and then it just doesn't matter. But this is something that I'm not unfamiliar with, and really, global players, you need to be aware of this. Is, the biggest thing is always going to be trials. That is the kind of the be-all and end-all, other than maybe dark visions in your future. And even that, it's, are you trying to be number one? Because in a gacha game, that's really hard without spending a ton of money constantly, or at least consistently enough that it doesn't become a problem. So really, decide your own situation. As far as I'm concerned, Edel was really good, but I got along fine without her. I had plenty of other options at the time. I think I was using Chair Rain, and he would have lasted for a good amount of time too. Would I have been able to beat every single trial? No, but that's really not my priority in this game anymore. I really just kind of enjoy doing series boss battles and just derping around on stream and whatnot, and just kind of having fun. It's not something I take seriously anymore. But yes, Madame is coming. Her banner is pretty good. So if you're interested, go for it. I think she's got some lasting power, even if she gets power crept in the next little while by another, a summer global exclusive or something like that. So make up your own mind is always... it's really hard to record here without a siren going by. Anyway, you, of course, will have to make up your own mind about where you are going to spend your resources, but for me personally, if I was on Global, I'd kind of be wanting to wait for the summon units, just because they're pretty cool. Anyway, that's all for this video. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.